Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 93 of ShrigleyTube TV. First of all, better start by saying sorry about the massive long video last week. There was a method in my madness. I personally struggle to find things on YouTube. You know, if it's in like part A and part B and part C, I'll never find it all. So I thought if I put it all on as one, you can fast forward and cut the bits out you don't want to see, and at least you know where it all is if you so choose to go and watch it. So that was the idea behind that. The wife did suggest that I should have put some of last week's video on this week's video, but as we've got like nearly 2 hours this week, that wouldn't have worked. And then also I was trying to explain that, you know, this is like a log of what we get up to at Shrigley Engineering, and if I start moving things around time-wise, it might not all make sense, if that makes sense. So yeah, we try and keep it as a weekly log of what we've been up to. If you don't like it, you can always fast forward. There's the boring bits and that, and bits that don't interest you, you know. So that's the plan anyway. Right, we're gonna start tonight by we've got some video footage from Brands Hatch, because the lads are all racing down at Brands Indy this weekend, which is great. And also we've got loads going, a bit of Bergerac in his car. We've got a gearbox talk with Ed's gearbox. We've got it's too much to list. So plenty to watch tonight if you've got time to sit down and watch it. I won't say any more apart from thanks again for all the comments. Really enjoyed reading them all, and thanks for coming to watch. Really appreciate your attendance. Have a great week, and of course a great Sunday if it's Easter Sunday for you guys, and as well as for me. I don't know, there's possibly people from different religions watching the programme, so obviously that's not applicable to them, but everybody else would just be, no doubt, stuffing their face with chocolate and having a big meal. So great. Hope you have a great week. Bye for now.
Right, it's time for one of my favourite races now, the Classic Touring Car Racing Club Pre 66. They always deliver. We've got Michael Loveland here. Let's just go have a quick chat with Michael, shall we, before they head out on track. Michael, it's good to see you.
And you, long time no see.
It has been a while, isn't it? That's why I thought I'll come over and have a quick chinwag with you.
Very kind of you.
How are we feeling ahead of this?
Apprehensive. It was a bit slippy out there this morning. Someone dropped some oil, so didn't really get the time I wanted. But yeah, I'm just going to enjoy it, you know. Just got to, not only have I got James to chase now, I've got young Brendan Rooney to chase as well. So they're up the road. But
You've got the best attitude. Just going to go out and enjoy. I'll tell you what.
Go and enjoy it. Yeah.
You say that, but as soon as the green lights go off, is it like red mist? That's it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. How many can I get before Paddock Hill Bend? It'll be. Yeah.
Tell us about the car, the Hillman Imp. It's a thing of beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had it for 8 years now. My first ever car was a Hillman Imp when I was at university, and I didn't buy another one until I was 55, and always wanted to go racing, and I thought the only thing I can race is an Imp. And one came along, so here we are, and yeah, I love it. Just love it.
What's it like being part of this Pre-66 grid? Pretty special?
It's fantastic. When I think back to where we were in sort of 2018, 19, 20, when we had like 12, 13 car grids and we were sharing with the Pre-83s, now we're getting the biggest grid in the club. Every meeting we're filling out the grid, and we got some fantastic cars and fantastic drivers. You know, last year we were asked to represent the club at the British Touring Car Championships. I mean, and you're going out with Max Tordoff and Max Chilton and people like that. Sam Tordoff, rather, you know?
Yeah.
It don't get better than that, really, does it?
It's special, isn't it?
Yeah.
A blast from the past, but a very welcome one indeed.
Yeah, it was really good.
Top man, thanks for talking to us, mate. Really appreciate it. Let's go racing, shall we? Pre-66's Classic Touring Car Racing Club. Dave, over to you.
Good morning, YouTubers. It's Tuesday morning. We're going to do something a bit backwards next, which will be the next video you watch will be this crank being balanced on Monday afternoon. And what happened was it was a bit of a busy day on Monday. The phone was quite busy, and I knew I'd booked a slot with Bob to get this crank on the balancer. This belongs to a guy called Pete, and it had a very special, I think it's a Hartwell engine. It had a 6-bolt flywheel with double dowels. So if you look, it's got 6 bolt holes and double dowels. So I was quite interested to see how it balanced up, because in theory it was all equal, you know. Anyway, we balanced that up, so you can watch that next. That was great. That all worked out well. So it's now Tuesday morning. I thought I'd better do a video explaining what I'd done. This is one of the new 930 cranks. You can see the balancing marks there. So it's obviously, it's had the end shortened, the index remade so that it fits the imp flywheel, and then I put a roller bearing in the end of it for the spigot bush, rather than you know, like an oil-like one or a needle roller. So it's had a quick skim off his flywheel. There's his 6 bolts. So we're going to get all that packaged up. But anyway, that's going to come on next. So this morning, also yesterday, Ed Linton dropped off his engine and gearbox. So the engine's in the dyno cell there on the trolley, waiting to go on the dyno because he had a little bit of a whoopsie at his last event. Unfortunately, the donut joint burst and took out his exhaust manifold. So what happened was the manifold got all mangled. So Will Parry's remanufactured the manifold. I've got to go and pick it up from the post office next. So this afternoon, we're going to go through the gearbox together. We're going to give it a bit of a service. It's a cracking box, this. In fact, I'm not going to say any more about it. We'll do that next. We'll go right into it. It's called an RR box. It's a helical close ratio box, and I've driven the car. It's a lovely gearbox. So we're going to give it a bit of a service. So we'll do that together. It's got a few oil leaks. But what we're going to do first, another complaint that Ed had of his car was the clutch was slipping when it got warm. So I said, well, you know, it must be the material that can't cope with the heat, because it did recover. So when it's cold again, the clutch comes back. It's only when he's halfway through the stage, you can hear it starting to slip. So we've upgraded the job. He's bought a brand new clutch cover. This is a new old stock one from the Imp Club. That was a real good find, that was. This is his flywheel that I'd already machined when he had the engine back in November, October, or whatever it was. And you can see the heat that's gone into it. If I zoom in, we've got like what I can best describe as micro surface cracks. This is one of the reasons I hate iron flywheels these days. Make me very nervous. I've only took a minimum amount of weight out of it, so it's really thick. So if we can get under them cracks with like 10 thou, I'll be happy for him to reuse that, as long as we can't see any evidence of cracking. I'm pretty sure they're just surface ones from where the clutch has polished the surface, and it's got a bit of heat in it. This is a new friction plate that it's gone for. This is by Questmead in Rochdale. I think they're in Rochdale. It's a Helix. This is their auto sport. It's a special competition material. And it's on a nice new hub, etc. So we reckon this is about as good as you can get with this type of cover. I desperately didn't want to put Ed on like a 5.5 inch race clutch with a steel flywheel, because they just, with the sort of thing he's doing, it drives nicer for between the stages with a standard flywheel, and these clutches are lovely. They just drive beautiful with them. Now, going back to his failure, his donut joint failure, he's dropped his new donuts off here, and if you look, what had obviously happened when you looked at his bolts, you could see that the bolts had worked loose, and eventually one of the bolts snapped, and that caused the donut joint to fail. The donuts were in actually very, very good condition. Now, one thing that you can even see it on that one there. One thing that is a big issue with these donuts, I think, is you see how this is two pieces of flat steel spot welded together before it's all bonded. They're never quite level. So can you see how one on the right is slightly higher than the one on the left? That's not a particularly brilliant example, but they're just not flat. So what we do is we just file them flat first, because obviously with it having a high point, as soon as it gets a bit of grief off the line, it rattles on the metal and sinks, and then it ends up with the tension being took off the bolt. So if we give them all a good flatting first, we'll do that together. So it gives it the best chance of staying tight. You do need to service these though, you know. After every session I go out in that Imp, a race meeting, practice and race, I always get under the car and put a spanner on them, because they always back off. And I see it all the time where people don't maintain them, and they think everything's great because there's not been a problem, and then the next thing, ping, bolt snaps because it's been rattling, and then the donut joint fails. And then everyone goes on the internet and says, oh, donuts are rubbish, there's no problem with donuts. Donuts are not the problem, it's the user. Anyway, right, I'll stop waffling about this now. I'm going to get this in the lathe, I'm going to give it a minimum lick, I'm going to box up all the Peters parts, and then we'll go through the gearbox together, and then we'll get the manifold off the Mr. Postman from the post office and bolt it back on the engine and just balance his carbs up for him on the dyno, see if we can find him any extra GGs. Hey YouTubers, we've rocked up at B&J Race Engines. Paul is looking really concentrated and very, very busy. What are we doing, Paul?
Just checking the lift at top 10,
Where's the camshaft in this sort of engine?
where you can't see it.
Is it in the engine?
It's inside the engine.
Is it-
Most camshafts are inside the engine.
I've read about this. Is this like a pre-war engine?
Not quite.
Because in the IMP in 1963, they were made with the camshaft in the cylinder head.
Right, okay.
Look, Bob's on the phone. He's just going to do some balancing for us. I brought this supersonic one. I'm really excited to see how this one works out. This one has got 2 dowels opposing each other, and we've got 6 threaded holes. So in theory, it shouldn't be too far out to start with. I've been messing about drilling it all morning to match the customer's flywheel, and we give it a quick face as well because it was a bit rough. So we'll get that on the balance in a minute. Paul, not wanting to teach you to suck eggs, mate, but it's really considered bad practice to have open inlet ports when you're working on a race engine.
Is it really?
Yeah, you should put some tissue paper in there.
What, whilst I'm turning it over?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry, it won't get sucked in. It's not that hungry.
The difference is this workshop's clean, mate.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter, mate.
Bob's
Foreign
got air
bodies.
filters and everything.
Listen,
you know what I
mate.
mean?
The only reason I put tissue paper in them is because Bob chased me up and down the workshop once for pulling an engine off a dyno and not putting tissue paper in the inlet ports.
Cracking, I normally tape them up, but not whilst I'm still doing a cam signing.
This is another example of how nice he is now he's got older. Because
Me?
no, not you, Bob. He's not said anything to you, has he, about that?
Not yet, I'll wait until you're off camera, mate.
Yeah, and it's going to chase you up and down the workshop, mate. You might be lucky because I believe you've both been poorly. You've had a bit, is it norovirus?
Something like that.
You had to miss Donington Park at weekend.
I did.
I'm so sorry, mate. You look like you lost a bit of timber, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you back on the food now?
just about.
When I had norovirus, the worst bit was like the crippling stomach cramps for about 3 weeks afterwards. I'd just be walking across the workshop and I'd be just brought to my knees virtually. Horrendous. Anyway, I'll leave you to get on with your job, mate. It looks lovely, that. So you've done a cracking job there, mate. I like the yellow pulley.
Came with it.
Just make a point of saying this is how this magic eye knows when the crank is at top dead centre. So you watch the light. See it? Isn't that clever? Are you confident that my no?
No.
That hasn't worked, has it? Is that the back end, that one?
Yeah.
So it's still miles out.
Yeah.
That's been factory balanced and it's never even running a car as well.
It's only for a fire pump.
Only for a fire pump, yeah. Right, okay, well, we better start drilling holes in it. Okay, we've just been drilling some holes. It's got a couple in this back here. One on the edge there, only a couple of mil deep, and one there. So we'll see if it's any closer. The machine's really clever. It knows that we've got an 8mm drill in here, and it knows the material density, so it can calculate the weight of the depth of the hole and hopefully put the crankshaft in balance. We'll see what happens. It's taking its time, Bob.
I'm gonna think.
Oh. Nearly in the front, isn't it? Excellent. Okay, I've had another 3 holes, or 4 maybe, all very shallow. Are we going to be winners, double bull? What's gone wrong, Bob?
Yeah.
Have we come out?
You in cockeyed hole.
That's not very good, is it? We're going backwards. 5 more of the tiniest little dimples and 1 hole a little bit deeper. I'm really hoping that we're going to be in tolerance. It's not massive, it's so fine a machine that you really surprised how little it takes to throw it out. Ah, the back end's in now, but the front end is out. How strange. So, well, it's getting closer. The back end is really good, 14 milligrams, and the front end is 57.9, so it's about 0.6 per gram. I never like the Suzuki one. It's not.
Oh, alive.
Ooh. 7.3, that's one of my lowest figures, that. 7.37. Right, brilliant. Let's get the flywheel. Let's run with the flywheel. You reckon, Bob? Oh my good goody aunt. Is that 2 grams out?
Same as same. No, 1.75.
1.75, that's not too bad for a iron, is it? We'll sort that. Had 3 little holes in the top diameter of the flywheel, and I'm confident because Bob told me how deep to make them. Oh, Bob, you alright? YouTubers just got back from the post office. Look at this repair job. I'd try and find a picture of it, but the donut on Ed's car had hit it here, and this was basically up at an angle and a right old mess. And in true Will Parry style, he's done a fantastic repair on it, and also he's put this lovely guard on, but not just welded it to the manifold like anyone else would. No, Will has to go a step further, doesn't he, and put it on removable bolts, little studs, so if it does get a bit of a pebble dashing from the valleying, they can take it off, bash it flat, or replace it, and it always keeps the manifold safe. So top job there, Mr. Will Parry, fantastic. Now, when I was driving to the post office to go and get this, I had a phone call from no less than Peter Bevan. He is obviously the son of George Bevan and the father of Jonathan Bevan. So he rang me just to say, I've been watching your videos. And I was like, oh heck. He's been watching the videos about the impenions. I got a bit nervous, and he said, look, I just wanted to say to you, you mentioned in a video that the Chesman wedge head was something done by Andy Chesman. He said, just to let you know, I did it first. He said, that was my way of getting the compression ratio up on the cylinder heads. And I was like, right, I've noted it. Thank you, Peter, for that. So yeah, we'll look forward to catching up with Peter at some point. Hopefully, if we see him down at Brands or whatever, we'll try and grab a chat with him on the camera for ShrigleyTube. I'm sure he'll be happy to talk. Anyway, I'm going to get this cars bolted back on here, and then well, first of all, we're going to do the gearbox together, aren't we? But we're going to get a tune out of this at some point this week. Okay, YouTubers, a couple of imp heads here. We'll have a quick chat about just some repair work. These are both for different people's engines. This one belongs to a chap called Simon. I'm just doing a bit of machine work for him. He's going to build it. And this one belongs to a crazy motorcycle rider. Now, the first head here, I'm quite interested. I've never seen a chamber shape like this before. Not quite sure what the theory is there, but it's like got a little scallop out in the middle. I was quite intrigued by that. Now this one, it wants remachining. The grooves, I don't know what's been going on, but we've got like a double width groove here. Can you see? So the wheel springs sat on the first groove, and the second groove was just free for the wheel springs to ooze into. They'd laced it in red hematite, so I can only think it was a 1980s thing. So luckily for this head, it's got quite a lot of material on it. I think we'll be able to get most of that out with like a 20th skim, and then we can remachine it, and that'll make that one good. Now this one just I found quite intriguing, because I did think, oh God, this has had a hell of a life, this has. It's quite thin, and it's got quite a lot of welding on top, and I think that was partially, I remember doing this for someone else when it belonged to a previous motorcycle rider called Steve. It had all that welding there when it burst number 2 cylinder. Anyway, I've just been looking at it thinking, oh, it's actually not too bad this. I'll give it a minimum lick and redo the wheel spring grooves, and it'd be fine. And then if you look, just look at this for a hairline crack in the bottom of the groove. Can you see that in the bottom of the wheel spring groove there? And it hadn't actually caused a problem. The wheel springs were all sealing well. It had blown up for another reason. But what I thought, what am I going to do with that now? Because it's just so thin, you know. The 1040 wheel springs are quite considerably bigger, and they do end up a bit close at the edges. Obviously, you've got support screws in here. It's got 2 in that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route all that out with hurdy-gurdy, make a giant hole, and then we'll get the head in the oven, get it hot, and then we'll start building the weld up from the bottom, from this back face here, and we'll build it right up, and then redo the machine groove, and then re-drill the water holes, and that should make that good again. I did think about ripping them all out, but it was this one that's particularly thin. The rest of them have got a fair bit of land around them and some supports behind them. So yeah, we're just going to do the cracked one, and then we'll redo all the wheels ring grooves, make sure they're all correct, and hopefully it'll be all good. But I do honestly think it's on its like 9th life. Hey chaps, I've just ripped out a load of material with the hurdy-gurdy. I've created a floor to build up from. You can see where a support screw had been put in to help support that area. It's quite common that, but realistically you can see if the wheels ring groove is, let's say, 60 thou deep, it can't be more than 2 mil of alley below it supporting it. So no wonder it cracked and broke. Now I wouldn't actually be going to all this trouble if it wasn't such a stonkingly good head. And I just noticed, I wonder who did the head, and it is actually originally you can just see the little stamp there, a Hartwell head, which probably explains quite a lot now. So it's worth it's worth repairing. I'm pretty confident that none of the other ones have got similar issues. They all look good. And the fact that it wasn't actually causing it an issue, this was not a failure point. It's just something that's happened over time. So we'll weld it all up and then machine it all back, and hopefully we'll get another life out of it. Before we get stuck into the gearbox refresh video, I just thought I'd share this with you. This is the welded area that had collapsed and cracked. So I've just ground it back while it's still hot, because it's quite often we used to get a bit of porosity in the weld, but on this occasion it does appear that I got all the muck out, and yeah, it's welded quite nicely. I've got some new rods, to be honest, some 5% magnesium rods, and they work an absolute treat on the imp material. So got that welded up now, so that can get in the pile next to the miller with the heads that need machining, and we'll get on with this. I'll put the camera on the stand and we'll go set about having a look at it. Okay, YouTubers, it's gearbox talk time. We're going to touch on the basics just for the beginners out there, and then hopefully the clever people won't get too bored. But this is Ed's gearbox out of his car, and they're a cracking gearbox, the imp gearbox. There's no problem with them whatsoever. It's purely a maintenance issue that causes all the problems, but we'll go into that later on. Now, for the beginners, there's like 3 types of imp gearboxes. This type of gearbox, which is what they call an RR, a rally ratio gearbox. So this is a helical gearbox, so it has the teeth like a standard gearbox. These are nice and quiet. This is a straight cut gear here, obviously. So the first type of box we're going to talk about is an RR box, which is a rally ratio box, which I believe came from the Comma imp van. So when they first made the Comma imp van to lower the top speed, they gave them a lower third and fourth. And then obviously that gearbox then transferred over to the rally imps back in the day, because obviously they all wanted to use a lowered third and fourth, because top end speed wasn't everything. It was more about keeping the engine on the cam. So lowered third and fourth, not dramatically lower, but certainly lower to keep it revving. Now in I don't know, maybe mid 70s or something, I could be completely wrong there, they brought the jackknife gear ratios out. So what they started doing was putting a straight cut gear in the position of third and fourth gear, and I call them a half night. So it's a synchromesh gearbox still, not a dog box, and it's got, some of them have got a raised first, normally based around a second gear as standard, and then they have a lowered third and fourth. The majority I've come across have been lowered third and fourth, just the odd one with a raised first. So we call that a half night, where it's still a synchromesh gearbox. So they changed gear nicely, and then they brought out the dog box. So this is obviously a dog gear. So it has a sliding dog, which looks pretty similar to that. And it literally just crashes into the gear. And that's what transmits the drive through these dogs into the gear when you select the gear. So a full dog box has all 4 gears interchangeable. So first gear is on the shaft, but there's various different ones. And then second, third and fourth. And then obviously they do a 5-speed dog as well. But they're quite a rare little thing to get your mitts on. So there is 4 gearboxes in total. A rally ratio, which is a helical gearbox, nice and quiet with synchromesh. Then they did a half night, which is third and fourth, or raised first and lowered third and fourth on a synchromesh, but with a straight cut third and fourth. Then do a full dog box 4-speed and a full dog box 5-speed. Now, various different casings. What we'll say, this is a late casing. This is the one that everyone goes mad for. Dead easy to identify one. Just draw a line from the centre of the near side spider down to the sump plug. If it's got a piece of aluminium in there, casting, it's a later type box, what we call a Mark III casing. if it's a Mark 2 or a Mark 1, it's smooth there. So that is a bit of a controversial thing, because everyone goes mad for these gearboxes, but realistically, all the 5-speeds were based on Mark 1 gearboxes because they had 3 rails that ran through the gearbox. That's another story, but there was no problem with them at all. The gearbox issues purely come from this little problem here. Now, we'll take this apart to prove it in shortly, but if I... Can you hear that? What that is the pinion and the crown wheel. The pinion obviously turns this way and the crown wheel turns that way. And over time, from being, every time you load up the gearbox, it tries to push them out of mesh. And what happens is it settles. And when the gap gets quite big between the teeth, it allows the tooth to climb onto the next gear. So when you load it all up and all the casing gets stressed and the pinion shaft goes this way and the diff kicks a little bit, it rides onto the next tooth, splits the casing, smashes itself to smithereens, and the whole lot's toast. And it always happens to imp gearboxes towards the end of the season. So I always encourage all my customers to say, look, do a bit of maintenance, get the car in the air. This is an inspection hatch for the crown wheel. Take it off, it's just a circlip, put your thumb on the crown wheel and you can feel it. And basically it's all held between 2 giant taper bearings with a preload on it. That's what holds the diff in position. And if you undo this one and tighten that one, you can shift the whole thing across and put it back into mesh again so that it can't climb when it's put under load. So that's one thing we're going to talk about shortly. But first of all, the other main issue with the imp gearbox is it has 2 nuts, one on the input shaft and one on the pinion shaft, and they both just have this, I don't know why, just they frequently work loose, especially when they're really loaded up. They're only torqued to 40 foot-pound. I started lacing them with Loctite 601 retainer and also a split pin, just to make sure that they don't come undone, because when it comes undone, it all gets out of plonk and causes loads of problems. So what we'll do is we'll pull the end of the casing off and have a look at heads. I'll leave the camera going live. Now, I've obviously not been in here, so I'm not making it up, but I think if we Tipex mark them and then go to tighten them, we will see movement, which will be like, explain what I'm talking about when I say, that they settle off. Now you can see we've got a bit of a leak here. There's an O-ring inside here, always good to change it. But before you change the O-ring, or before you put the new O-ring back in, always clean this shaft up, because if any sharp areas on here, it'll just tear the new O-ring as it goes through when you reassemble it, and then the whole job's toast. It was a total waste of time putting a new O-ring in it. So inside here is a little spring, and then above that is a little magnetic ball. See that little magnetic ball there? So the camera can actually zoom in. And what that does is that there's some ridges on the selector shaft there, and when you feel the gear lever selector gear, that's basically that ball and spring going into one of the grooves. It'll become more apparent in a second. So just make a bit of noise while we buzz this tail housing off. These are all 5/16 UNC bolts that hold the tail housing on. Quite simple. You have to get a Birmingham spanner for the next bit. And just give it a gentle tap. Here, just break the seal. This is just glued on now. Obviously, I'd always insist on doing this with Loctite, but the last person that built this chose to do it with bathroom sealer. So it's like stringy silicone. I don't know why people love using that, but they just do. Now we can see straight away we've got a bit of debris in the bottom of the box. Now that looks horrendous, but don't actually sweat about it. We tend to see that a lot, and it doesn't necessarily mean the gearbox is toast. It just means that, it's missed a few gears and crashed to the synchros a little bit and stuff like that. So you can see now straight away, this is reverse gear here. I'm just going to pull this off. So when you select gear reverse, it basically puts that little idler in between these 2 gears, which enables the gearbox to go the wrong way when you turn the input shaft, so you can go backwards with the car. Now, if I zoom in a little bit without completely knackering my setup, try and get close on there. Right, can you see these two nuts here? So we've got one nut here, one nut there. What I'm going to do, a bit of brake cleaner, and then we're going to Tipex them so we can see where they are, and then we're going to tighten them. That might seem like an odd thing to do, but I'll just show you how much they move. Now, in complete lack of preparation, I've not got the tools ready, so just bear with me. But I'm going to put a bit of Tipex on there, bit of Tipex on there. Oh, maybe I should wait until the brake cleaner's dried. Rushing takes longer. So, bit of that on there. Bit of that on there. So we can see where it is and where it's going to go. So, the best way of locking this up now, although it's rather crude, is to put a pair of mole grips on. The reverse gear, they're hardened, so it won't. It looks absolutely horrendous, but it won't bother it in the slightest. Just, we could take the selector apart and lock it in 2 gears, which is the correct way of doing it, but we don't realistically have the time on camera. So just gently pinch that. So when I go to tighten this now, it won't be able to go any further. So I'll get my tool, which I didn't prepare. Where's it gone? There it is. And the torque wrench. So this is a special tool that we use. It's just a socket that's been milled down. What size is it? It's an AF 75 AF 3/4. So it's just a 3/4 socket machined down. So it's got 2 pegs on it, and that goes on there like that. Now, knowing my luck, this will still be tight, but there's just a small chance that we'll get a bit of movement out of it. Now, set that to 40 foot-pound. Not done that very well because I got it the wrong way around. And, oh, honestly, you couldn't make it up because it hasn't moved. It's just my luck. That's the first one I've ever come across, and it hasn't moved. Honestly, they just fall up. They just move around a load, and it's like, oh my god, that was hanging off. Just my luck. Right, I'm gonna have to stop this live malarkey. Of course, I could just erase this part of the video, but then I'd be lying to myself as well as you. I'm not gonna go down that road because that's a bad road to go down. Right, let's hope that this one's loose. No, they're both tight. Right, well, okay. Obviously, the last time it was apart, it had Loctite on it, so that's great. Well done, whoever built the gearbox. I'll move on to the next part now, which will be, we're going to check the crown wheel and pinion clearance and decide if we need to move the crown wheel over to take the gap up. I'll put this back together as it is because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Okay, YouTubers, just before this goes back together, you know, we decided there was oil dripping out of the tail housing. This is the O-ring here, and it's quite plastic, should we say, not soft and supple like a new one. So we're going to put a new O-ring in there and just give this end of this shaft a little bit of a clean up so that it doesn't tear the O-ring when we drop the end housing over the end of it, you see. All right, okay, the back end's back together now. Hopefully that'll be nice and oil tight. We're on to the differential now. We're going to change both seals just as a matter of course because they're like peanuts, and the input shaft seal as well. We'll go through that separately. It's just while we're here giving it a service, like the seals get gritty, you know, with him going through dusty areas and everything, and it just wears them. So we'll try and make it as oil tight as possible. Now, this little hatch here gives you access to the crown wheel. It's really easy to get out. You just literally pop the circlip out like so, and then it's got like a disc that's held in with an O-ring, and it should just pop out like that. So that comes out, and then normally if this looks like that, that's a fairly good sign that the crown wheel and pinion aren't munched. Next is an O-ring. It's quite hard, that. But looks like it's been sealing okay anyway. Right. Inside here we can see it's got an open differential. I don't know if we can actually zoom in well enough there. Can we zoom in perhaps? Oh, that's good, isn't it? Right. So you can now see the crown wheel and the bevel gears, the differential. So it hasn't got an LSD in it. So what we're going to do is have a quick inspection of these and make sure that all of the teeth are in position and it feels nice and smooth. I can't see any issues with it. I'll just have a quick look. Normally they go very clunky. They are quite worked, should I say. You would be better off with an LSD in this, to be honest, because if you look at the cross pin in the middle, that big shiny gold pin there, that's what normally breaks. Now I think looking at it, it's got a hardened one in it anyway. So it looks shiny, whereas the rest of the box looks a bit dull. Now, if we put our thumb on the crown wheel, can you hear that? Can you see it as well? I'd say it's about 15, 20 thou. That is the gap between the crown wheel gear and the pinion. Now, what happens is when you try and load the car up to go off the line, the pinion and the crown wheel, obviously the crown wheel doesn't want to turn and the pinion wants to turn. So what it tries to do is it tries to send the pinion this way into the gearbox. And that's why we often see the housing broke, where the bearing housing pushes through, you know, because it's loading it all up. So if we give it as much intermesh as possible, we're giving it the best chance of not riding onto the next tooth. If you have a look at a failed imp gearbox, the teeth are normally all there. It's just that the tops of them are all mashed and bashed where it's ridden over the next tooth. When you look at a failed crown wheel and pinion on, say, an English axle in a Lotus Cortina, like I used to see quite a lot of them when I worked at Bob's, obviously with Mark, his son racing the Lotus Cortina. It used to rip a tooth out, but when it rips a tooth out, it always rips the tooth out from the root, because there's a sharp corner, or not a sharp corner, there's a corner there, which is obviously a stress raiser. So when he did a step off and lit the tyres up and it used to blow a diff, or whatever he did to blow a diff, it used to rip a complete tooth off. Where with the imp, I never see that because they haven't got enough power. It's just a simple case of casings flex, rides out a mesh, climbs the next tooth, bursts the casing because obviously it's jumped over the next tooth, and then the whole lot scrap. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll show this next bit now. So to move this over this way, what we have to do is it's like a circlip on the outside here, because this center part is on a fine thread and this housing is clamped inside the aluminium casing. So I've got a special tool for this, which I've not prepared as usual. Lack of prep. That looks like that. You can make one of these at home out of a bit of aluminium, and that goes inside here. Now there should be a good preload on this, so I shouldn't be able to move it, but yeah, it's settled off a bit. It wants to be, I do that, I say about 20 pound-foot of preload on it. That's where you want to be, holding the two taper, sorry, I'll unzoom so you can see my hands moving, because there's two taper bearings that hold the differential in position, and if they're sloppy, the diff can wobble. If they've got a good preload on them, keeps the diff in a good shape, in the correct order. So let's see if that's moved it over a bit. So it's still about, I'd say, a good 15 thou. That I'll move it to 180 away. Yeah, it's uniformal. So what we're going to do now is we've got to back off this side, because we're bringing the differential this way. Whatever we put on that side, we have to take off this side, otherwise the preload gets too much on the taper bearings. So I'll just back this off a little bit, and then we'll go around the other side. and put it back on again. So we're just chasing the whole differential over to the other side. Give it a lap. Let's say we're down to about 10 there. I want to get to about 5 now. I have run tighter on my own gearbox, but because this is a customer's gearbox, I'd better do it by the book. Plus, Ed's quite good at looking after the gearbox. He's not, I know he's just had a donut failure, but he's quite good at not doing wheel spins. He just lets the clutch get it and gets it off a line that way. Bit of slippage. Right. Oh, that's close now, that. That's beautiful, that. Just check it in 3 places. Am I zoomed in enough there for you to actually be able to see? There you go. Get the torch on it as well. Barely any movement there. I can just feel it. It's got a fair bit there, you know. Might be able to go again, yeah. We'll back it off on the side. Obviously we don't want to make it too tight because then it'll just bind up and get hot. What I will say is I have done a bit of testing with these, and this is obviously room temperature. When you get the gearbox hot, because of the growth in the casing, the whole lot moves again and we get more clearance. So a hot box, even if it's tight and barely any clearance now, when it's hot it'll have more clearance. Right. Right down there, I'd say 5 thou. 5 there. And it's got quite a lot there. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if it's got an issue, this, you know. Like the crown wheel falling off it. Can't actually check the bolts. That's very interesting, that. Right, let's just have a little look at this. I'm not happy about this at all. Okay, YouTubers, I don't know quite what's going on here. The diff has got a tight spot, and can you see the outside of the crown wheel is rubbing on something? Now, I don't know what that's going on there, whether the crown wheels come loose off the actual main diff or something else isn't quite right. But I'm going to give Ed a ring because I think we'd be stupid not to inspect this further at this stage, rather than wait until he's on an expensive rally to find it had a problem. It's only a ring of bolts to split it, but I just need to ring him to confirm he's happy for me to take it apart before I do it. So I'll ring him on the way home tonight, and in the morning hopefully we'll be taking it apart to investigate. Okay, YouTubers, I'm glad that we questioned that, because this shiny mark on the outside here, can you see it? It was basically, if we look underneath, I put the torch on, underneath here there was a piece of metal jammed and it'd been rubbing. It looks to me like a tooth, but as yet I cannot find where it's come from, unless it's come from inside the main gearbox. But it looks to me, doesn't look like the shape. It looks like it actually looks like one of the teeth off the planetary gears. It doesn't look like a tooth from a, you know, like a first, second, third or fourth gear. But we need to find out where it's come from, or if it's been left over from a previous build. I can't imagine it has. The problem we've got is that if you've got a piece of debris like that and it manages to bounce up and get into the crown wheel and it jams up in the pinion gear, we're talking like 100 mile an hour, just lock the back wheels up and you're in for the ride sort of thing. So we can't afford to have any debris in the gearbox whatsoever. So what I'm going to suggest we do is we'll take this out and have a right good inspection of it. I just spoke to Ed. Ed just said straight away, no problem, just put an LSD in it, put a limited slip diff in it. If you think it's stronger, that's what we'll do. So I think it'd be a good call to ditch the open diff and put an LSD in it, because yeah, it's definitely a reliability issue. These have never been brilliant at holding up these cross pins, and he's done pretty well with it really. But he did say he was spinning the inside wheel quite a lot with his new 1040 engine. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll get the rest of it apart, have a right good look at it, see if we can work out where that part's coming from, that missing tooth. Okay, good morning YouTubers, it's Wednesday morning, and I had a conversation with Edward last night regarding his gearbox after we found the broken tooth in the differential housing. So he's just said, look, you know, we've got no option but to take it all apart. So I explained that, you know, I'm capable of changing a gear ratio in a dog box and I can set a diff up, but when it comes to the actual workings of a synchromesh gearbox on an imp, it's a bit of a black art. It's quite specialist. There's a special, like they call it, a dummy shaft, where you set all the gears up and the preloads on them, etc. So what we're going to do is, unfortunately, having glued all the back end back on this today, we're going to take that apart. We're going to slide this part of the housing off. We have to undo the two nuts on the end of the pinion and the input shaft. Slide this section off, because we need to know if the tooth that I found inside the gearbox was the remains from a previous issue, or if it's part of first, second or third gear. My gut feeling is that the gearbox was a fresh build and there was no problem with that. It's chipped a tooth when it's been under load. So we need to find it, because I'm going to the Hillman Club tonight in Wales, and my mate Vincenzo Frostini of Merlin Motors, Vince Frost, he's going to be there. Now Vince has the brains to take this apart and replace the gear and then put it back together again. So I think if we can get it apart, decide what's up with it, and then take it along tonight, that's our best chance of getting it sorted quickly for Ed. So I'll pull it apart now. I won't do it on camera because it'll take me about 10-15 minutes, and then I'll join you again when I've got this cover off, and we'll have a look at the gears inside and see if we can see what's going on. Okay, YouTubers, you've just probably experienced a time lapse there with me taking it apart. Now, you might notice I spent a bit of time faffing about putting the nut back on. That's because this whole selection of gears has all sorts of pins and locating dowels in it, and yeah, a bit trick. And when it all falls off, you have to take it all apart and start again. So I was keen to get the reverse gear back on the end with the nut so it didn't all get out of sync. However, anyway, we're moving away from the actual point here. I'm glad we took it apart, because unfortunately third gear has got 3 teeth missing, one there and one there. If I zoom in, they're clean brakes. Now I'm just struggling to understand why it's done this, because I'd have thought contamination or something might have caused it to chip a tooth off like that, but it must just be torque, because there's no signs of debris in the box. All the rest of the teeth look nice and all in good condition. So yeah, just old gearbox, I'm afraid. We don't know how much it's done in the past. Luckily I found all 3 teeth, so there's nothing else floating around. So I don't know what the future is for this gearbox, because I'd imagine these gear sets are like hen's teeth, being a lowered 3rd and 4th. So yeah, I was expecting, to be honest, I thought it'd be first gear, because I couldn't see this through the inspection hole. Somehow I managed to miss that when I was looking through the inspection hole. But I thought it'd be first gear, because that's where the most torque is in theory. But yeah, anyway, right. We are where we are. All I can do now is box this up, ring head, and see what the plan is. Maybe, yeah, it'll be a case of move into a different gearbox. I think that's going to be the most sensible option. I mean, obviously the most sensible option is to go to a dog box with straight cut gears all the way through, because they don't break. But I don't think his rules will allow that. I think he has to run a standardish gearbox that was available back in like the rallying days, you know. Okay, well, let's get the bench clear because we've got the next job to go. YouTubers have got the head we welded yesterday. That's on the milling machine. You can probably hear it in the background. And then I've got another head which I videoed yesterday, which has got the wheel string groove that was double width, so that's going to get sorted next. Now that head belongs to this bottom end, which was a Chessman 998 belonging to a chap called Simon with a G15, and he wants to build it himself, which is absolutely cool. I've no problem with that. He just said, can you do some basic machining, get the piston heights correct and things like that, and sort the head out. So I said, yep, no problem, I'll do that for you. So this is the piston and rod out of it. Been burning a bit of oil. It's on an old school, what we call a one-piece cast iron oil control ring, and I can see that's well worn. Now I measured the skirt of the piston, it's 72.4, and this is 72.45. So I thought, right, we'll just slot a new set of pistons in, give it a quick glaze bust, machine the tops to the pistons, and he'll be good to go, and he can put the rest of it together himself. However, I've just come to put a piston in it, and I've got to be honest, that is like, I mean, just from my feel, I'd say that's well up on 3-4 thou. That's more like 6-7 thou, that. So I'm just going to speak to the customer, because really we'd be better off. I know it's going to be more money, but these are 73mm pistons that Mr. Maynard very cleverly got made, so they're 20 thou bigger than these. So we could take a minimum bore out of it, re-hone it, and get it on a tighter tolerance. Because although the Maynard piston has this fantastic oil control ring that is really good at dealing with big bore clearances, it'd be a nicer engine with a tighter clearance, you know. That's like an old school race clearance, that. Anyway, we'll wait for the customer to get back to us. In the meantime, I'm going to pull it apart, because I'm going to have to strip it anyway, because when we hone it, we'll get lots of carburetor in the block and everything. So I want to get it all apart, hone it or bore it, whatever the customer decides he wants to do, and then we'll go from there. Okay, YouTubers, skim the head and no porosity has appeared in the weld, so that's good news. So I'll get on with this, and what I'll do next is do the wheel string grooves, and then we're gonna have to recut the seats, because even though they took about 10 or 15 thou off it, we're well into the valve seat now. So it's a bit thin, this head, but it should be good to go again. I'm pretty confident. Looks like we've come to a completion point on the wheel string grooving for the welded head. So I can drop the wheel string in there now. Beautiful. Got that set to the correct depth. So hopefully when we've recut the seats and given it all good clean, a bit of a measure up, good to go. And in fact, I'm really excited about dyno in this engine, because a bit different to what I normally do. With it being a sidecar outfit engine, it runs a genuine R23 camshaft, so it just sounds amazing. It's got absolutely nothing below 6,000 RPM, and then it goes crazy. But we'll get it on the dyno, not this week, be next, but we'll do it together. Hey, YouTubers, just thought I'd show you a quick video. This is the other head. Do you remember there was a head belonging to Simon? It had the funny shaped chamber, and it had that extra groove around the outside. Well, there was quite a bit of meat on it, so I took a fair rake off it, and then I've remachined the grooves, and they're bob on now. There'll be no problem at all. So got all that done. We've got to put some support screws in, clean it, etc. I spoke to him about his block. That was his block, the 998, that I was concerned about the bore clearance, and he just said, look, it won't be an issue, it will work, but you know, it'd be a better job if we bore it. And I didn't want to sound like I was timing for work. And he said, Andy, I watch your videos. He said, you haven't got time to ask for more work. And I thought he's right there. But anyway, so we're going to bore it and put it on 73mm, which will make it 1012cc, but it'll be a nice job then. So I'm going to crack on with that next and get this in the pot. We have got one good looking chap in the workshop here. Hello, Nick. How you doing?
Fine.
Mate, I just wanted to ask you a few questions about this job that I felt very honoured to do for you.
Really?
Yeah.
So you'll not be charging me then?
I don't know about that. Is it like a Beetle with 2 extra cylinders?
Similar. Yes, very similar.
It's a Porsche.
Ferdinand somebody or other.
Ferdinand. Oh yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, in my dreams, like, you know. But what actually is it? It's a funny colour material. Is it? It's not aluminium. It's magnesium. Is
It's
it?
magnesium, yeah. So no smoking.
Yeah, no smoking near it. Wow. And is it a bit of a specialist block?
Well, they made them all in this, the early
Oh,
stuff.
did they?
All the 70s stuff, yeah.
So is this like a 2.7 or 2.4 or
This is a 2.4.
2.4? And you're doing a conversion to make it run with a different pump in it, are you?
They did, on the later, bigger engines, they put a bigger pump in.
Right.
So you can convert the earlier ones to run the bigger pump, so you get more pressure and more volume of oil. Because obviously it uses the oil for cooling as well, so the quicker you can thrash it around, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, Nick basically asked me if I would drill a hole for him. I've drilled a hole for him. It starts there and it ends up there, so it goes across like that. And I was quite nervous about doing it because it was obviously quite an expensive engine to do it on. But I found a little cheat, because we were going to get like a long series spot facing tool, go in on the miller,
Yeah, mill it.
spot face it and then drill it. But I found a cheap way of doing it. I made a peg that went inside here like this, a snug fit, so it locks up when you have to tap it in and then tap it out from the other side. And then I just literally drilled straight through there. I did all this as a pilot first, drew my angle, and I've got to say I'm really pleased with that, mate.
Yeah, it's very good.
And it landed exactly where I wanted it to land.
I mean, you've not shut up about it, but yeah,
No,
good job.
When it goes right, I like to shout my own praises, you
Set the
know, pat
fireworks
my own
off.
back. Right, well, what do you reckon the chances are of seeing it all together one day at the workshop?
Yeah, no problem at all. It's in Viper Green. It's a great colour.
Is it? Oh, yeah. I know the one you mean. Has it got like a little ducktail on it?
No, this doesn't have a ducktail.
I like the
Too
ducktail
early.
ones. Small bumpers, ducktail, with them futch alloys.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
the alloys, but
That's
it doesn't have a ducktail. It's too early for a ducktail.
Well, Nick, thank you very much for
No problem,
the business. What I was going to say is, are we any closer to thinking about buying an imp?
No.
It's in your blood, mate. It's coming back, you know, don't
Is
you?
it?
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I'll have a transfusion. I can sort that out.
Right, cheers. Good morning, YouTubers. It's Thursday morning, and I've just bought this block for Simon. Did speak to him yesterday. I said, look, it's a bit sloppy on your 72.5mm bore. It'll work fine, but it'd be a better job if we bore it. So he said, look, just bore it, not a problem. Pistons are the same price, so it was meant to be just a cheap in and out, change the pistons and give him the head back to build and all the rest of it. But anyway, it's escalated a little bit, but not too much. So that's under control. We'll get that honed and then back in the pot wash to be cleaned. Over here, please excuse the extreme mess of my workshop. As you can imagine, I've now given up on it because we've got the new place. But this is a Ford Essex block. And I had a friend in Jersey who wanted to build an Essex engine as a kit of bits. So I said, look, I've got loads of Essex bits and I'm never going to build any of it ever again. So you can have a lot for a set price. But I'll get the machine work done. So the first 2 blocks I sent for boring, one of them was oversized and the other one had liners in. So neither of them were ideal. I had one more block. It was a complete engine. So yesterday the sun came out for an hour. I thought, you know what? I'll go outside and strip that complete engine. But it was full of water. So I've stripped it. And as you can see, the balls, that one has actually gone down. I've managed to whack that one down. Luckily it's standard size and the pistons I've got are plus 60. So what I'm going to plan to do, basically, I put diesel in them last night before I went home, so hopefully some of it's oozed down the side of the rings. I've done this before. If you try and push the piston out from the back, as soon as it hits the tide mark, you know, where the swelling of the rust is, it just jams up and damages the rod and the piston and everything. So what I do is I just lubricate them and then I knock them all down, taking the crankshaft out, obviously. Knock them all down and then I hone it or get the, you know, something abrasive in to get rid of all this crust. So it then goes bigger than standard and then the pistons just come straight out. So I'm just going to attempt to show you. I did actually get this one to move ever so slightly, so I know it's on the way. But this is the sort of thing you've got to do to make them move. Oh. Once they start moving, they actually get a move. That one's going now. So, as you can see, the top ring has done a really good job of stopping the water go past. So the bore's okay there, so we'll clean all that crust off, WD-40 it or kerosene it again, and then we'll send it out that way. And then we'll give the block a right good clean, check it for cracks. It looks like quite a good block apart from the fact it's obviously had a hard time. I was laughing as well. I think it's blowing the head gasket there, straight into under the valley. Look at that. Anyway. Old engines, that's what they did. Right, we'll get these pistons out and then we'll get it away from boring. YouTubers, as you are aware, no doubt from watching previous videos, I was very lucky to stumble across a batch of brand new old stock Talbot Sunbeam 930 engines. So this is one of those engines. This one went to the show, that's why it's got £1,000 plus VAT written on it. So they're absolutely brand spanking, straight off the assembly line from when they made the Talbot Sunbeams, not the Imp. So these are a 930cc unit designed to stand upright. Now, I've been selling these to various people, and I've now got quite a few of them to build before I move units. But one young lad is particularly keen to use his car in the beginning of May, so I said I'll make sure the engine's done. So the first thought I had was I've got like 10 of them to do. I was going to get like 10 engines in the workshop, strip them all down, skim all the heads, do all the different jobs, change the crankshaft, because we put the different crank in with the 4-bolt fitting for the Imp flywheel, put the Imp sumps on, Imp timing cover, blah de blah. But I thought I'm in danger of overfacing myself there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on these, as in I'm going to carry on doing them. I'm going to do this one, so set the machine for skimming the heads, blah de blah, do all the bits and pieces. Might paint more than one sump at once, etc. But I'm just going to do this one start to finish. There's quite a bit of work to do. We have to drill and tap this and put a bung in. We have to put an extra tail on here for a heater hose. We have to put a thermostat with a housing on the end. There's quite a lot of work in them. But yeah, I'm going to crack on. So we'll pull this apart now. I'll try and do it on time lapse, and we'll see what it's like inside, and then we'll inspect it all and change the crankshaft and skim the head to get the compression up and do various things. I think this one's having a sport cam in it. He sent me a camshaft to put in it, so that's cool. We can do that, and then we'll get all the wiring together for it. Obviously it's a brand new Dizzy on it. It's a Lucas, I believe they call it a Lucas AB14. It has like there's a little vacuum pipe cute in it, and it has that connector that goes to the amplifier unit. So we'll get all that wired up as well, and then we'll run it on the dyno together. Now this isn't, it's Friday tomorrow, but I'm not in. But I am in on Saturday. So on Saturday we'll get on with it a bit further, and we've also got a customer coming who will try and interview. And then it'll be obviously Tuesday before we're back in and on the job. I've just wandered down to the business end of Moss Road, where it all happens. Bergerac. How you doing, Richard?
I'm all right, thanks.
Mate, I just thought I'd wander down and say a quick hello, because obviously I'm not in tomorrow, being Good Friday.
Oh, you're not working? Oh,
No,
you're a millionaire, so you don't have to work on a Friday.
Absolutely, mate. I'm on an Easter egg hunt with the children. I'm really excited.
Exciting times.
Yeah, what's going on here,
Nice.
mate? We've got a computer out.
I know. I'm just having a look through my pictures to try and remind myself how to build one of these cars. So yeah, just putting my heater blower onto the inner wing panel.
All powder coated. Let me just
Very
check
fresh.
you've
Look
got
at that.
a washer on each one.
Nylox.
Nylox, super job.
You name it.
Yeah, it feels
Lovely,
good.
that, isn't it? Yeah.
I've got to say, Burge, your attention to detail when you're building these things is superb.
Yeah. Well, I need to get cracking really. I haven't done too much so
Mate,
far.
is that a stainless steel tigged bracket?
Yeah. Look at that.
You know what? I do like that. It's not a Dutton Sierra, is it?
No, we can't quite make those lofty heights. Yeah.
Right, wonderful. Oh, and the Alpina's back.
It's back in one piece, yeah. Very happy. Lovely.
New chain on it.
Enjoying it a lot, yeah, new chain. Luckily, I haven't completely destroyed everything, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, It wasn't too bad.
Excellent. So were you off anywhere at the weekend? Anywhere nice with Sarah?
No, sadly not.
Are you working?
Again, I don't have the money that you do, so I have to. I
Oh,
have to
come
crack
on, mate.
and-
Don't come that talk with me. Come on. But, mate,
So
there's
no big plan.
more stainless steel hinges here.
I know, they're beautiful, aren't they?
That is actually quite
All
impressive.
rose jointed.
Yeah, that's actually very nice, that.
Yeah.
It is growing on me. I'm not too keen on the colour, I will be honest.
Ah, you know.
It's a bit... I'm not an in-your-face guy, I'm you
Neither am
know...
I, I'm very discreet.
Yeah. You're getting fat as well, aren't you?
Wait,
That's
no,
good
I'm
to
just
see.
pushing my
How old are
body
you
out.
now?
30.
Oh, mate,
33.
I was 10 stone wet through till I got to 30. All them Easter
All
eggs,
went
mate.
wrong. I know,
Oh,
it's dangerous, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to get running like me on a Tuesday night.
We
Right.
we had a good day at Anglesey last weekend. We
Oh,
went to
what happened there?
The rally track day, which was quite
What
fun. Went
did
with
you
a
go
pal.
in your little?
No,
What's it
no,
called?
I was playing roller navigator this time. So
What were you sat
a
in?
little Clio 182. It's been very nicely prepped, proper cage, proper seats. You know, it's nice
You
to
know
be
what?
in a
Them Clios
nice
have
car.
gone up in value a lot. If you can find one that's not
if you can
dissolved
find a clean
underneath.
one,
Yeah,
they're
I like them. I remember when they came
Yeah,
out
they're
as a
good fun. I
kid.
had to drive it. I had a 182 a few years ago. It was a great car.
I
It
would
was
have
like
owned
70
one.
mile an hour in second.
Until you
Amazing.
lift the bonnet. And,
know,
and you
yeah.
ask the question, how do you change the cam belt?
Yeah.
You need
They're
like go-go
absolute
gadget arms,
nightmare,
wouldn't you?
yeah. And they are a bit fragile. The gearboxes are a bit fragile.
Are they?
Yeah, but they're a cracking lot.
Were they all blue, or was that my imagination?
No,
That was
yeah,
the Clio
you're
Williams,
thinking of
wasn't it?
Williams, aren't you?
Ah, right, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a good day out.
Oh my God, what is this here? Mate,
Look at that power. Look, you can see the power through that picture. Oof.
I know. That is awesome, mate. Absolutely awesome. Right, well, I just wanted to check in with you
Yeah,
because...
I'm just getting the front end finished off.
Yep.
I'll say
Is
finished
the engine
off.
gone for rebuild, is it? Or
Yeah, engine's ready.
Ready?
Ready to go back in. We're going to get it.
have you had it tweaked, or is it a
Doesn't need
2.5 or a
No,
3
it's a
litre?
3 litre.
All right.
Yeah.
They're much better, that 3 litre. Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
It's got the bark on
It's
it.
got a shorter stroke though, hasn't it? So they're a bit revier.
I know, but just when I've heard you accelerate out of Moss Road, and the 3 litre sounded.
The extra 30 odd brake does make
Yeah,
it.
it's the torque, it's the capacity, isn't it? Yeah.
But
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it'll come together slowly.
Excellent. Well, that's good to see you're working. I'm working hard, but I'm now.
Are you really?
Well,
Is
I've
that
had to
why
put.
you're down here?
I'm putting tools down because Russell's finished his football club, and I have to go and pick him up now. So we'll try and find something productive to do this afternoon.
You've got to keep your priorities right.
Yeah, keep the children happy and the wife, of course. Right, wonderful. Thanks for chatting, mate. I'll speak to you soon. Good morning, YouTubers. It's Saturday morning. Gonna get on with stripping this now before the customer arrives. I'll put it on time lapse so it doesn't bore his ears. Okay, YouTubers, just stop for a little break while the oil drains out of the bearings and stuff into the tray before we start to take the crankshaft out. Now, just watch the time lapse to see how it went, and realised I took a call halfway through it and completely missed the stripping of the cylinder head. So all I did was I de-studded it and took the valves and springs out, and I put them on this tray just because even though we're going to, on this particular engine, we're going to change the camshaft for an Imp Sport camshaft. Hopefully the base circle is all the same size, so the shims won't be far off as they are. So we kept everything in order. Now the time lapse was ace. I was thinking, if only I could work that fast, I could get so much done. Anyway, this is the standard 930 casting, and the first thing you'll notice is it's got sport valves, and the seats are absolutely enormous. So they'll go to 1.3 then, no problem. That's a sport size valve as it is. And that would go to 1.125 if you so desired. But they're a bit rough, as in they're just not finished very nicely. They're all right, but they could benefit from a bit of a fettling. So we're going to give the ports a bit of a fettle. Not massive, just make the short turn nicer. These are a great casting, obviously being new. And I've got one cross-sectioned. And where they crack on the Imp Sport head across here, they've got loads more material in. Not quite sure what these lugs were for. Never really understood that. But anyway, there must be a reason for it. So we have to do loads of modifications next. We have to put another one of these tails in the top of here that will go for the other heater, because the Imp has 2 heater hoses. We have to drill and tap this and put a bung in it, and then we drill it and tap it again for 5/8 UNF, which will be for your temp sender. Then we put the imp thermostat housing on the end, and we machine an index in the thermostat housing for the thermostat to sit, because there isn't one in this, it's just flat face. Now the head, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take it into the room. The chamber's quite a nice shape. Normally on an imp it's straight across here. Obviously this is a 930cc, so they lowered the compression on them as well. All the Talbot Sunbeam 1 litre road cars were like this as well. They're like 9:1, 9.35:1, which is okay, you know, but really an imp you want a bit of compression, give it a bit of torque. So we're gonna whiz 80 thou off the head. There's loads of material on the face. You can see there's absolutely oodles of room. I think the face is actually thicker on these, and if you look, you know, we've looked previously, look at the amount of material underneath there, it's massive, and under there as well. It's like maybe, I don't know, maybe 1/3 of an inch. Anyway, that's all good. So we can yak the material off, 80 thou off it. That'll take us into the 10:1 area, which will make it go like a good imp sport engine with a bit of extra capacity. Obviously it'll be 930cc. A little bit of shop soiling, but the bores are like new. This is just because it's been hanging around for 30 years in a container. But we'll clean all that up. I don't think I'm going to take the pistons and rods out unless I see something concerning. I'm just going to take the crank out, exchange it for one of our new ones. We'll take the oil filter off as well and replace that. And yeah, we'll get back on the build. I'll do some more of the time lapse now, taking the crank out, and then we'll get this on the miller and get it skimmed. Okay, that's the strip down completed. The engine looks absolutely brand new. Really pleased with that. No moisture ingress whatsoever. The oil's still golden. It just had oil in it to, apparently they were wound on an electric dyno just to make sure they had oil pressure before they left the factory. But look, there's the brand new crank. Obviously this is going to go in the pile now for modification. I'll go and get one that we've already modified, put it alongside this so you can see the difference before and after. And then we're going to slot the crank straight back into it. I've left everything just like this because I don't want to get involved with anything else. Just want to put it back together, hopefully before my customer comes. Now this is my valve tray. I've just put each bearing cap, very important they stay with their relative rod, because obviously they're the line board. So they're all just sat there waiting to go straight back into the engine. So I'll get the crank now, I'll finish cleaning it, and then I'll rejoin you as we put the crank back in. Okay, YouTubers, just had a message from my customer saying he was around the corner, so we're going to put this all away now and restart it on Tuesday morning. Hopefully we'll get an interview out of Daniel when he arrives. Now, just before I finish, I was going to say, these are the crankshafts. The one on the right-hand side is the one I've just took out, and this is one that I took out of another new 930, maybe 2-3 months ago. And as you can see, this is a 5-stud one. This one's been modified. You can see where the holes have been blanked and then re-drilled so that it takes the imp flywheel. The other thing you'll notice is this one is like 12mm longer than this one. That's because the flywheel sits much closer. So it's very hard to make this work with an imp gearbox because there's very little room for the thrust release bearing and the arm, etc. So it's just easier to make the crankshaft like the original imp, and then obviously you can just use an imp flywheel and clutch in the same offset, same clutch arm, same everything, no messing. Right, now what I was going to show you was, obviously we put the needle roller bearing in, not needle roller, the ball bearing in there, so that's a much nicer job as far as I'm concerned, because it means that you can't wreck it when you're putting the engine and the gearbox in. Often when they've got this needle roller type, if you don't quite get the engine lined up properly, you can damage the cage and then all the needles fall out and get trapped at the bottom, and then you can't get the engine to butt up to the gearbox, and we open a whole can of worms that we don't want to open. So we'll get this crank bolted in here. on Tuesday, and then we'll continue with the head skim and building it up. Hopefully we'll get a tune out of it next week, and then ring the lads to come and collect. Okay, YouTubers, we've got a subscriber with his engine in the workshop.
Hello.
Welcome, Daniel. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for agreeing to come on ShrigleyTube and talk about this. We'll call it the problem engine.
Well, it was doing good, so let's see.
Yeah, Daniel's brought the engine all the way up from, you proper down south, aren't you?
Yeah, Devon.
Devon?
Yeah, near Plymouth.
Wow, good journey. Well, you stayed somewhere last night, did you?
Yeah, in the Peak District.
Oh,
so
did you?
we're staying somewhere nice, yeah.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, you don't want to say St. Retford. Anyway, we brought the engine back because, unfortunately, he's had a bit of a problem with mayonnaising in the oil. And he hasn't done what I'd consider to be a great deal in it. So I'm a bit intrigued as to what's gone wrong with it, to be honest with you, because it looks like it's got a wheel string issue of some type, but I don't fully understand why as yet. Because if it had been out, is it a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, about a year. And all it's done is Devon to Lake District and back. And in that time, you've seen it because
you stopped off.
We was on
Yeah.
ShrigleyTube before, so and then it was running great. Did a dyno run on it and in the car, and it was producing really good power. And then next minute, kettle out the exhaust pipe.
Yeah, you see, you know what's really confusing me as we're talking? I just noticed all the exhaust ports are actually black. Normally we get one like power wash clean.
Yeah.
That's quite confusing, that.
But it was proper like a kettle going off out the exhaust pipe.
Was it?
And then a little puddle afterwards.
Oh, right.
So yeah,
you're not messed about. It's a proper job, like.
It's a proper job. And then when I strip the engine, normally you get the old wet legs, don't you? When you're pulling it all out from the heater pipes, nothing came out.
Oh, so, right.
Yeah, it used it.
The water had gone.
Yeah.
Right, let's get the head off. And if it's my fault, we won't put this on YouTube. And if it's anything else, then we'll be all right.
See you again.
I'm only joking. No, we'll keep it as transparent as possible because otherwise it's not real life, is it? YouTubers, we've pulled the poorly engine apart, and it's quite obvious what's happened. So we've just been having a big chat, haven't we, Daniel, about the sequence of events that's led up to this failure. And basically what's happened, this is a bit of an odd block list. I did a couple of these. This engine started off before we went to France as a head gasket engine. So it had dry liners put in it, but I used to machine them and leave the aluminium from the original block so that the gasket had more of a purchase, around here, rather than having a line in the middle and stuff where the liners met. So I'd put the liners in on a step, and that was the way we'd done these particular head gasket engines. Then Daniel got the bug for more power. He'd gone from a Solex to a 2836, and then next thing he's saying, "Oh, can we put a head on it?" And some R17 cam and 40s. So then the engine came back for upgrade, and it had a different head on it with the wheel springs, which was fine because it had the iron liner for the wheel spring to sit on. But what's happened is, for whatever reason, the parent liner has cracked, and you can't actually see it without the camera, but a light, but it's split all the way down, hasn't it? So what we suspect's happened, yeah, thanks, Daniel, is the liner, because the parent liner has burst, the liner has tipped, and if you can see the black around here, and also if you look at the chamber, all the other wheel strings are fine, but this one here, it's pushed over and basically allowed the cylinder pressure into the cooling jacket, and then the coolant back into the So we're gonna have a little bit of a chat now about how to fix it, and more than likely gonna it's gonna have to have new liners and stuff, or we may reblock it. We'll have a little bit of a chat about that afterwards. But yeah, sorry about that, Daniel. We'll call it a learning curve. Daniel's been very good about it. He just said, look, just do whatever we've got to do to
let's take advantage and make it an improvement.
Yeah,
let's do something better.
He's asked it to be 1800cc when it goes back together. Brilliant. Well, thanks, Daniel. We'll call it a day for that now, and I'll put it in a box in a million pieces. Daniel, looks like there's some riffraff turned up outside the unit. Not quite sure what's going on here.
With his YouTube.
Oh, we have to get you on YouTube, mate. You've got your microphone on.
I know.
Looks like you've got the important job there, Andy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Easy job.
We're going to say goodbye to Daniel now in his electric van. And yeah, I believe you're going for a little bit of a treat this afternoon.
Yeah, well, I think he deserves a walk now after us talking engines all morning.
This is Logan, is it?
This is Logan.
He's been very patient.
He is.
He's a good-looking chap, isn't he?
He doesn't look very happy.
Is that his unhappy face? That?
That's his unhappy face.
Oh, bless him.
That's like, are you taking the piss out?
Oh, look at his little ears pick up. You think he understands every word you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. He knows. He knows.
Right. Well, Dan, it's been great to see you.
Yeah,
and
and you.
safe onward journey, and enjoy the rest of your weekend if you've got anything nice planned at the is it Peak District?
Peak District, yeah, nice chill out. So and then drive back tomorrow.
Excellent.
So,
Wonderful.
and then hopefully we'll be back soon with
we'll get you
the engine back in.
We'll get you turned around with everything else.
All right.
And then I'll see you with your hoodie on.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's got his hoodie.
Forgot we're supposed to do the product placement bit.
Right. I'll look forward to seeing you in that. Brilliant. Thanks, Daniel. Cheers now. See you Sunday night. Bye bye. We get it all down here, mate. Never a dull moment. Are you winning, Gary? You're not fancy doing a bit of that? Bit of banger racing?
No, I don't.
No.
It's a bit noisy, isn't it?
A bit noisy.
For my old ears. Right. Here's my screwdriver.
Come on, shape yourself.
You've got the thing.
Hey,
You've got the.
I've got one there.
What's that?
Wow, what's going on, Jack? I just had admiring the way you kept to 5 mile an hour there in the yard. That was very mature of you.
Yeah, I've grown up.
You've grown up.
I'm a man now.
You're a man now.
Yeah.
So, mate, it's looking a bit second hand, but it's still functional. The wheels all point in the right direction.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Going to Northampton tomorrow.
Ah, yeah.
I haven't really touched it since we last raced.
Haven't you?
Change the diff, that's it.
Didn't you put the engine in the other car and go racing somewhere else?
No, not since the last time. I went to Eastbourne the other week.
Oh, Eastbourne, yeah. Right, oh, wonderful. We'll have a great time. Guess where I'm going in about an hour and a half?
Kings Lynn.
Kings Lynn?
Yeah, thought you might have been.
Your dad's been round.
Yeah, I've told him not to go with you because you're a bad influence.
Bad influence? Yeah. Me? Why? I'm a good influence.
I'm saying nothing.
Right. Have a great time, mate. We'll see you Monday morning. Gary, how was the test drive?
100% better.
Well done, mate.
Should have come here in the first place.
Well done, mate. Well done. I didn't do it. You did it all. I just showed you what to do.
No, so I've got my cheap Chinese.
Hey, they're all right, them. The FAJs.
Yes.
I've got a set in there. They sound perfect, them.
350 quid for the pair.
You
Can't knock
can't
it,
beat it,
In
can
the
you?
last 3 years, I'll throw them away and buy some new ones again.
No, you won't. Gary, you're like me. You won't throw anything away.
No, I
You're
won't.
trying to kid.
So now I've got a set of Hunter cards if anybody wants some for sale.
Right, brilliant. Well,
Take it
they'll
with
go well, the Hunter carbs, because
Yeah.
they're quite special, aren't they?
Yeah, so.
Well, let's just look at
Thanks
this.
for your help, Andy.
No, you're welcome, mate. Look at this shiny red car. Give us a. Hey, can we have a little bit of a blip for the viewers?
Now with me twin Ford.
I've never seen a car shine so nice as this. Why is it missing? Is it missing still? What? What size pumps is it on? Oh, was it? Yeah, it seems alright now. The 1.35.
I've got a clue what I've got in it.
Oh, we'll have
We'll have to
a look at that. Right, thanks for being on ShrigleyTube.
No problem, Andy.
Am I going to be on your channel?
You might do.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll see.
Cheers. Treat car here for YouTubers. This is Andy. Andy came in another Quantum, but it was a CVH one, wasn't it?
It was. It's called a 2+2 convertible, that one. This one's called the H4i.
H4i. I recognise them XR2i headlights.
That's the one.
But this one's got a Z-Tech engine. Is that the 130?
That's the 130 brake, yeah, with the HO port in it.
HO what?
It was HO inlet port. Yeah, I mean HO on it, so H130 brake has the bigger port on it.
Wow.
Yes, for like 105, 115 horse.
No way.
So,
It's
yeah,
got a good
this
chassis.
was a demonstrator car for Quantum.
A demonstrator?
Yeah, I think it was 15 grand what they spent on it.
15,000. It's got a bit of a posh interior.
Oh yeah,
Excuse me.
it's got the wing backs in.
The wing backs, they're like RS2000 seats, aren't they?
RS18 Fiesta.
Oh, RS18
Yeah,
Fiesta.
that's what it's based on.
Dashboard fits well. Hey, it smells like a Fiesta as well, you know.
It don't.
No, it does actually smell like. Oh, it's got Fiesta backlights.
It does. Very KA sport, isn't it? KA.
Yeah.
Back.
I don't know why, but I preferred the last one. I don't know why. Maybe it's the
Yeah,
colour.
From here forward,
Yeah.
you know, if you stand on it like that, you're fine. But if you look at it,
It's just maybe it's the back window's a bit funny angle. I don't know.
Yeah, but it has a little thingy on that, you know. Have you seen its little trick it does?
Go on. What does it do?
Hold on with the keys.
Is it electric?
So what you do is you remove those clips that are...
Right. Oh, has it got a roll cage as well?
Yeah. Well, bar.
Right.
And you literally knock that up. It becomes a Targa top.
A Targa. Like a 911 without the price tag.
So what you do then is, you'll like this, you're an engineering guy, you'll love it.
I like this fella.
So you remove that and you put that in the boot.
That goes in the boot.
And you still got your spare.
Still get
Then, if you want complete convertible,
Hey, look at that.
you roll that down.
Oh, it reminds me of the way the windows go down on Bergerak's TR7. Yeah, that's wicked. I do like that.
Put them windows down.
I do like that. Yeah, that's clever, that. And it's a 2+2 as well, like you say.
2+2, tax reasons.
Tax reasons. Love it. Well, thanks for showing us around, Andy.
No problem.
It's cracking, that.
They might go with the roof down.
Yeah, go home with, have a treat. Wind in your hair.
Wind in my scalp.
Yep, I'm off to Kings Lynn now, so better go. Congratulations, YouTubers. You've made it to the end of the engineering part of ShrigleyTube TV. Of course, I always save the best to last, so what we've got next is last night, me, my dad, my brother and two of my pals, we drove over to Kings Lynn to watch the Formula 1 stock cars. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, Kings Lynn is like the best shale track in the country. It is absolutely awesome. It's on the edge of the earth, so it takes a long time to get there. So we didn't get back till 3 this morning, but it was a brilliant night's racing. Really enjoyed it, and it gets really good attendance because I think the drivers enjoy the track and also the spectators. So yeah, brilliant night's racing. I just took a few snippets, and most of the final I got in the F1s, but unfortunately the phone went flat and I had no way of charging it, so that was that. But anyway, you'll get the gist. Hope you enjoy it anyway, and maybe I'll catch up with you one day at Bradford or somewhere else. Okay, have a great week, and I'll speak to you next Sunday at 7. Bye for now.